Remember growing up making the perfect mixtape was an art? It would take hours or even days to get the mood just right. It's an art that's nearly been lost in today's drag and drop digital playlist world.
We're four friends of 35 years with many, many mixtapes between us. Join us each episode as we pick a theme, discuss the songs, and build an infinite mixtape. Welcome to the Mixtape Diaries.
Welcome back to the Mixtape Diaries. It's been a bit of time, yes? Actually, I think we're getting back to you pretty quick.
That's terrible.
Was that an Irish accent?
Well, what do you think it was, laddie?
It sounds Jamaican.
I'll have to practice.
Wow.
So this is our Jamaican special.
One love. One.
That was quite an Irish accent there, Brad.
You know what? There was a period of time where I had that down.
When was that?
Yeah, it was long enough ago that I don't have it down anymore.
So is that maybe a little hint about what our special episode is today?
There's a reason we're coming at you with an Irish accent today. This is going to be another one of those grab bag episodes. And we are recording in the run-up to St. Patrick's Day. Whether or not it actually happens that we get this out by St. Patrick's Day, and I'm thinking probably not. We didn't want to let this opportunity slip by because there's so much good Irish music. So 4 songs, 4 diarists. Let's get it done, people. But first, some morning announcements. You guys know where to find us. You're listening to us. Why go to another platform if you're happy on the one you are? We've got a Twitter feed at Mixtape Diaries, at Mixtape Diaries. Look for us there. Share us, rate us, review us. 5 stars. Tell the world.
I thought you were going to do the announcements in your Irish accent.
Thankfully, no.
I feel as though that's been panned. I feel as though the sentiments of the group have disfavored me continuing with the Irish accent, and I will respect your wishes if I don't respect the decision. Should also say that, of course, you can find the playlist on Spotify. Search for Mixtape Diaries. You can find the playlist on Apple Music. Search for Mixtape Diaries. Playlist is growing rapidly. We think, I don't know how you guys feel about the state of the playlist.
It's great.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing to such an extent now that I'm listening to it more and more instead of like other things. So
we do enough of these, the playlist will be Spotify.
Right, it probably will.
So we're accelerating toward the singularity there. At any rate, let's jump in with our songs.
Alrighty. This should be kind of a quick and easy one. Because, I mean, really, you start thinking about the subject of great, like, Irish pub bands, and there really are quite a few, but there are definitely some standouts, and I think maybe we're hitting 3 of the big ones today. My song, I'll go first here. My song's kind of the standout. I would say that they're probably the lesser known of the 4, probably in a big way. My song is called Music Box by a band Enter the Haggis, which is a Canadian band, and they have kind of an interesting little history. The sound of their band is definitely very Celtic, Highland pipes, fiddles, all the things that you would expect from good Irish music. They're kind of an interesting band, though, that they got to a point in their history where they tried to change their image a little bit. They wanted to record things that sounded a little different and kind of change the direction of the band. And that turned out to be a huge failure because their following really liked that they were this kind of Celtic pub band. And after a couple years of trying this experiment of a different sound, they reformed as Enter the Haggis and came back to their original sound. So I'm glad that they did that. This song's a fun one because it's really just it's all instrumental, no vocals until really the very, very end. And I just love the sound of pipes and fiddles. I could listen to that all day. My blood is all from the British Isles, so this one hits me right in that sweet spot. So,
well, I'm never going to argue with a Canadian band in any episode. I think we all were laughing like, "Enter the Haggis." That doesn't sound very Irish, but it is definitely Celtic rock. And this was fun, and I thought it was cool that the name was kind of a humorous reference to the 73 Kung Fu film Enter the Dragon, which I feel like I do. Anytime I hear Enter anything, I always think of Enter the Dragon for some reason. This just reminds me of this great little pub in Kingston, Ontario called the Toucan, and I feel like this is the kind of music that would just always be playing in the background. We'd go in there for a pint, just like a small, classic, little Celtic-inspired pub. And so, anyway, great pick. And like I said, I'll always be a fan of anything Canadian, except for Justin Bieber.
oh,
So definitely when you hear Haggis, and I was thinking, I was a little skeptical there, Bob. And then the minute you put it on, this is Irish music. It was lovely. There's a place called, same store with Mark, it's a place called the Burren up in Somerville that brings in all this Irish music. It just puts you in that kind of, you're in a pub, it's warm, it's cold outside, it's lively, there's glasses in the air.
right.
That's what you want out of your Irish music.
No, and I think that's probably really kind of the formation of this band, and really the history of their band has always been more that they're popular as a live band, and I guess that's the thing that's fun, and we'll kind of touch on that with a couple of the other bands that we've got for today. That really recordings of them are fantastic, but God, if you can see them live, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, Irish bands live are just the best. And it's usually you're always in one of those small little pubs, so it makes it even better.
And you're usually pretty greased up.
Right.
Speaking of greased up, has anyone here ever had haggis?
No.
No.
No, I
It's
refuse.
good. It's actually very good.
Yeah.
You can get, so when you're in Scotland, you can get haggis, tatties, and neeps, and it's three. It's like they scoop it out with ice cream scoops. So you have like a brown scoop, like a hemisphere of brown that is the haggis. Like white, that's the potatoes, and the turnips are green.
I can't get past what it is.
It makes you think about the worst spumoni you could ever have.
Yeah.
When you see it, but actually, no, it is good. It is good.
I'll take
I
your
would
word
testify.
for
I mean,
it.
sausage. I mean, right? We don't like to talk about sausage either, but we eat it. We sure like to eat it.
Yeah, that's true.
I would encourage you to let the haggis enter you.
I just placed my order for
Did I
my
say
corned
that?
beef this morning, so I can't wait to go
Nice.
pick up my corned beef later this week and get it cooking all day and get the house smelling like that. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Oh, you'll be eating your corned beef.
What? No crit for that.
I know. It's because that's Mark's imitation of Mike Myers from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
All right.
Which is Scottish, by the way, not even Irish. Let's just call this a Celtic episode and not put it straight into the like of the Irish.
There we go.
All right, so there you go. There's my.
Where
there's
is
my
Sean
selection.
Miller? Where is Sean Miller? No. Can we talk about every Irish great action movie, like Patriot Games?
I guess I'm next. Yeah.
Yeah, Brad, you're up.
All right. Well, so I got to go old school here. Probably not fully old school because I'm not doing like the Dubliners or the Chieftains. But when you're talking about rockish Irish folk punk, Shane MacGowan, Spider Stacy, and the Pogues were the pioneers. I'm going with Bottle of Smoke by the Pogues from 1988. Track 3 on their third album, If I Should Fall from Grace with God. The Pogues kind of have two sides to their personality, right? They do poetic, beautiful songs about Ireland and love and other romantic things. You know, Kate and I insisted that the DJ play the Broad Majestic Shannon at our wedding. I don't know if you guys remember that. But they also do poetic, ugly songs about drinking, fighting, and bodily functions. And that was what I wanted to choose today. My first thought was I was going to do the Sickbed of Cuchulainn, which kicks off with the line, when you pissed yourself in Frankfurt and got sift down in Cologne. And that kind of dovetails a little bit with krautrock too, so why not, Carla? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of options on the first 2 LPs for that kind of song. And I love them both, but I feel like the production's kind of weak on those. Elvis Costello produced Rum Sodomy and the Lash, and I love that man. But I feel like they kind of come off like a drum and fife core more than a punk band. If I Should Fall from Grace with God is different. The sound just has a little more weight to it. And Bottle of Smoke is the kickiness song on If I Should Fall from Grace with God. So what's happening here? Shane, well, actually not Shane, but the song's narrator, who seems to be a person with many Shane MacGowan-like qualities, but also has a wife of kids and seems to be maybe verging on middle age. The narrator just bet on a long shot horse at the track, 25-1, and his horse won. This is 6/8 time, done in a hurry. The band just tears through this, and in under 3 minutes, you hear about all the fallout here. First comes a description of the horse winning the race. He came up on the left like a streak of light, like a drunken fuck on a Saturday night. That image just is beautiful. For years, I pictured just some absolutely hammered guy blitzing out of a pub to start a fight. But maybe like earlier this week I was playing and I thought, well, maybe the fuck actually refers to an instance of drunken intercourse where you race to the finish line. So some ambiguity there. I'll let you guys decide what it really means. But
2 very different visuals in my head right now.
Yeah. I think I like the first one better. But anyway, there are more F-bombs on this song. I mean, for 1988,
Yeah.
it's insane. Yeah.
It's aggressive.
It's loaded. Anyway, instantly the track stewards put the race under investigation. Fuck them, Shane declares. I've still got the money. And he's going to drink himself senseless. Glasses are steaming, vessels are bursting. I don't know if he's talking about drinking vessels or blood vessels, but it's just great imagery. There's a midsection where the verses drop out and the band really cuts loose and Shane just starts screaming. And you realize this is the race because he's yelling, "Go on, you bastard!" The horse. It just kicks. The moon is clear, the sky is bright. I'm happy as the horse is shite. Up came the bottle of smoke. I love this song.
Fuck the shares and shook the roads. We're getting all fuckers of parasites. Bangers and stimmers and color. Covers the money and cleans on my hand like a road. Try to fucking bud. Down the guys are done. But I was gonna bottle of smoke in my house.
And it goes right into Fairy Tale of New York, right? So it's kind of an abrupt change, again, between those two types of Pogue songs. So anyway, that's all I got. Love the song.
I mean, it's such a classic Pogue song. It totally is. I was glad that you picked it.
Yeah, it's everything that's great about the Pogues.
For sure, although I find myself leaning to the softer side of the Pogues in those songs more for some reason. I don't know. I guess I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to my Celtic rock.
The only crazy Pogue story that I have is Krista and I, for a number of years, we shot wedding films. And one year we had a New Year's Eve wedding. And they were huge Pogues fans. And they actually kind of followed a Pogues cover band that's from here in Cleveland that plays all the time. And they would go to their shows all the time, and they were actually pretty good friends with the band. And the bride had actually managed to book them as their band for that night, and the groom had no idea. They had hired a DJ and all of this stuff, and so the groom had no idea. So when they got to the hotel and they were ready to come into the ballroom, the DJ had come out and set everything up, and so the groom still had no idea right up to the split second that they walked in, and the band just lit the place up. It was like their hair
That's
was
awesome.
on fire, and the groom came in and was out of his mind. The groomsmen were all out of their mind. It was fantastic. And then that's what they did the rest of the night was they covered a ton of Pogue songs, but everything that was kind of in this same genre, and it was totally insane. It was such a blast.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Shane MacGowan documentary that is on, I think, Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah. It's the Crock of Gold. I think that's what it's called.
Crock of Gold, A Few Rounds with Shane MacGowan.
Yeah. Really, really a fantastic watch. And it's hard not to watch it and want to just dive down into the Pogues and lose yourself for, 5-6 weeks, just listening to nothing else.
Yeah.
I felt that way just reading the Shane MacGowan article that was in New York Times at the end of December. I was reading that and I was like, oh, I actually don't really know that much about this band. So I definitely want to watch that documentary.
When Napster was happening, I got on Napster and downloaded every B-side, every live track. I mean, I just took everything I could get about the Pogues. It sort of coincided in time with when I was just really on this bender with the Pogues. And so I just have a ton of stuff on my drives. Managed to see them twice.
Yeah.
Very fun each time. It's not going to happen again. I think if you haven't seen him by now, you're probably not going to see him again. Shane's in pretty tough condition right now. When Sinead O'Connor says she's worried about you,
Right.
There's a problem.
Right.
yeah. So, but definitely you should check out that movie. That's, he really is a towering figure in Irish culture, and he came out of that punk rock scene, right? He was he was banging it out with the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, one of his first times he was photographed for something was like at a Clash show, and like his girlfriend had bit his ear, so he was like all bloody. I was like, yep, this all tracks well.
Right, that seems right.
Right.
That seems right. Well, that's a solid choice, Brad.
Thank you.
So, Carla, I think maybe you're up next.
Yeah, so on the heels of the Pogues, I picked Flogging Molly, obviously very, very influenced by the Pogues, and I picked their song Drunken Lullabies, which is their most popular song. But I just love that song. I just love how it kicks in. It's that band. Like, every song starts that way. It starts slow. It kind of builds up into this just fist-pumping anthem. Like, it just reminds me of, like, being in a lot of Irish bars and just, like, listening to this music all the time. This was the title track from their 2002 release of the same name. And the whole album is fantastic, but it all sounds like this. So I think Drunken Lullabies is really kind of a good representation of the entire record. Similar to the Pogues, their sound is built on that layering of traditional Celtic instruments over just like a regular 3-piece band. And I thought it was interesting. I didn't really ever think about the tin whistle before, but I kept seeing the tin whistle referenced in Pogue songs and then also here, so I guess that must just be something that's very representative of Celtic. Did you just grab it? And Brad just grabbed a tin whistle.
Wow.
Wasn't expecting that.
Me neither. I'm not even quite sure what to say right now. Maybe this will be better than his Irish accent, though.
I went and got one of these when I was in my Pogues phase, it's impossible to play.
Yeah.
It's not easy to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to credit Spider Stacy for just picking this up and learning it, because I mean, it wasn't as though he had any ability with it, and it was from a band, and you'll play the tin whistle, and you'll bang your head on a plate. And I could do the second part. I'll never be able to master this, though.
We're not getting a little demonstration.
Yeah, we're not getting any demonstration of
No,
tin
no,
whistle. No. Okay.
Well,
So
we
just
had
purely visual.
yeah.
Not after you
Sorry,
got the
listener.
accent. You guys can all go
I
screw.
mean, we had to listen to the accent. I figure it can't get any worse than that. So apparently it can.
I'll be grabbing you by the throat, mister.
Yeah, just try it, buddy.
Oh my.
We are really spiraling.
You'll be crying yourself to sleep tonight on your huge pillow.
I think it's wee pillow.
We huge. It's all the
Just
same.
remember, his head was like Sputnik.
And again, we've kind of completely turned this away from Irish and into the
Yes,
Scottish.
we sure have.
It's shite being Scottish.
All right, I'll bring us back.
Bring us back.
I've got a Flogging Molly story to tell. I don't understand why this happened, because they're an LA band, but I was at Newbury Comics in Harvard Square, and they had flyers, like a thing posted in the window where you could tear off, because Flogging Molly was looking for a drummer. And Stuart was with me. Stuart Henderson was with me. He was living here he was doing one of his co-op shifts in Cambridge. He's like, you should do that. You love Irish music and you play the drums. You should try out for Flogging Molly. And so he like tore off one of these things for me. And of course I never did, because that's who I am. It wouldn't have been a good fit, I don't think.
I don't think so.
But anyway, and another reality, I'm playing drums for.
You're the drummer for
Flogging
Flogging Molly.
Yeah, and I don't have time for you and your shite podcasts.
Krista and I we saw them once here in Cleveland on St. Patrick's Day, which was insane.
That had to have been a blast.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, just the coincidence of actually seeing them on actual St. Patrick's Day was crazy. But yeah, Brad, you would not have been a good fit for that band after watching them. I mean, they came out on stage and they were already pretty liquored up. And by the end of the show, the whole place, I'm surprised we didn't burn the place down. It was insane. Everybody was just completely
That's
out
awesome.
of control. It was a blast.
I don't know. Have you seen Brad on a couple Diet Cokes? Like he can mix it up with the best of them, I feel like. So yeah, they're Flogging Molly's actually coming here to Ventura on the 26th of March.
Oh, you've got to go
No,
see
you
them.
should go.
so-
You need to see him
You
live.
have
Well,
to see them.
We'll have to probably go check those out. I mean, it's like literally right down the street. We have a new kind of small venue opening up, and they're going to be there. So
Yeah,
tickets are only $95.
Oh my
Wow.
God, that's crazy.
Woof.
They're great
That's
to
crazy.
see, but I don't know if they're $200 great to see.
I mean, welcome to 2022, where
I
gas
suppose,
is
yeah.
$7, and seeing Flogging Molly in a small coastal town in California will cost you $100.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
See, now I got to see if they're coming here.
Yeah.
I think I saw them on a Warped tour back in the day, which is actually where they got their start, is they were touring on the Warped Tour in 2002, and they met the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones there, and the Boss Tones liked them and asked them to like open for them on their tour, but they could only do the US portion of the tour because Dave King, who was born in Dublin, his visa had expired, so he couldn't leave the country. So they only did the US leg. There was a Canadian leg to that tour, and they couldn't leave. So they spent a while only touring in the US because he went undocumented for like 8 years after that.
That is
it was
awesome.
it was like a glitch in the visa system, and whoever he was working with was saying that your visa, whatever kind he had, would just continue to renew. And then the law changed and he didn't know it, and then it didn't renew. So they really got their popularity more here than overseas just because they couldn't leave the States for 8 years.
Yeah, how about that? That's kind of crazy.
And then Ireland was they said that they never really gained popularity in Ireland because everyone was like, who needs a Yankee band singing Irish music? We already have the Pogues.
Ouch.
That's tough. Yeah.
A useless trivia about this song was that it was featured on the soundtrack of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
Yeah, I saw that. I think what's interesting about, if you take the music out of the equation and just read his lyrics, it's similar to the Pogues, where there is like some depth to the content. Like, the song talks about like the failed promises of religion and like some other social issues. So his lyrics read like poems, and I think much like a lot of the Pogues songs do too, but then it's just all kind of mashed together with this like drunken revelry.
Yeah.
But also, that's kind of Irish music.
Right.
And they're just great storytellers. I mean, I think we all love these Irish bands because ultimately they're all terrific storytellers.
Yeah, without a doubt. Totally, without a doubt. Between this album and the album Float, just such great songs and great stories in all of the songs. Yeah. Well, that's a great choice, Carla. So does that leave us with Mark?
Yeah, I guess I'll close us out on this Irish Celtic episode.
We just can't let that lie.
Oh my God.
Well, Brad started it, so I guess
And I'll end it.
Oh,
It needs to be ended.
yeah. I think you started it and ended it.
Anyway, I guess I'll go with after all of these selections, I'll kind of wrap us up with, I guess, what we would call the elder statesmen of Irish music. These guys have been around since 1962, and it'd be hard pressed to think about anything Celtic or traditional Irish, or at least original band that popularized it. Boy, it's because I've been talking this Irish all morning. I can't even get me words out.
I was going to say, did you have some Irish coffee this morning?
No, it was an
what's in that
Italian
mug?
roast. It was an Italian roast. I've got a little Irish whiskey in here.
Little Jameson in there this morning.
God help me. I just dry heaved.
Little Tullamore Dew.
That was one of my go-tos on St. Paddy's Day, which is probably why the wheels went off the wagon pretty quickly on St. Paddy's Day, was pints of Guinness with a shot of Jameson dropped in it that will quickly grease you up.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the music, shall we? I'm just twisting the screws, Brad. I went with the Chieftains. So these elder statesmen of the Celtic scene and traditional Irish folk scene formed in Dublin in 1962, and I think they've just been around a long time, and I don't think you can think about this sort of music or St. Pat's Day or anything Celtic without thinking of the Chieftains. Much of their music has historically been instrumental. I picked an amazing song called Foggy Dew, which came on their album The Long Black Veil, and this was probably their most blatant stab at crossover fame. They went pretty big pop culture on this album, bringing in the Rolling Stones, Van Morrison, Sting, and then probably one of our favorites, good old Miss Sinead O'Connor. And so Foggy Dew features her vocals, and this is just an incredibly beautiful ballad, and I think just embodies like classic Irish lament.
That Irish sky, then at Sublauer Sudel bar, and from the plains of royal Meath, strong men came hurrying through, while Britannia's hulls with their long-range guns sailed in through the foggy dew.
The song was actually, I think, goes back as far as like the early 1900s or even sooner. Maybe 1804 is maybe the first documented moment of this song. But it's been redone over the years. And anyway, I think you'll listen to this, and I know Brad probably just pass the old microphone to you, because I know you love this song, and it was probably on your short list as well. But man, I just find this song to be beautiful, and I can't think of anyone to sing it with that kind of raw just Irish lament than Sinead O'Connor as she sings ballads. So I'll leave it at that. But I just love this song.
Yeah, so it was about the Easter Rebellion, 1916, that went well, I guess, for a while until it didn't. So I was able to see the Chieftains a couple times. They would come to play Symphony Hall here in Boston around St. Patrick's Day. In fact, one time there was a blackout in that part of Boston, and they brought in Con Ed trucks from like Connecticut to power the hall so that the Chieftains could play.
That's pretty cool.
And they were amazing. Of course, I didn't have Sinead O'Connor there. That would have been
Yeah.
that would have sealed the
You would have
deal.
lost today.
Right, but they would bring in they'd bring in Canadian sort of folk dancers who did kind of Irish jigs and stuff. And Paddy Maloney, every time he would come out, he would address the crowd for about 45 seconds in Gaelic, and then correct himself and say, "Oh, I forgot him in America." You know, he did it every time, and it was corny every time, and everybody ate it up every time. So I actually had tickets to see them, middle of March 2020, and it got canceled. And Paddy Maloney died last year. So I think that's it for seeing the Chieftains, which is a sad thing.
I saw them once play a free show in Quebec City in 1997. It was like part of like the summer festival that I think I've spoken to before. And I was just kind of walking along, and we heard this like Irish jigging going on, and we looked, and I'm like, oh, and we stopped and looked, and then I realized it was the Chieftains, and I'm like, holy shit.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. But gosh, who hasn't? Like, it's just amazing how many people have actually recorded the song. Clancy Brothers to the Dubliners. Shane McGowan's actually done tracks, and then obviously, again, I think Sinead's provided maybe the best set of vocals and version of this song.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It really is. And it was actually voted best duet by BBC Radio 6, which is kind of cool. And the one thing I neglected to mention a little earlier was that the Dropkick Murphys play the Sinead version often before their concerts, kind of like,
I've seen it.
Yeah. So
it is so cool. They, the first time that I saw them, they, opening act, everyone's milling around, lights are on, lights go off, screens go on, and big TV screens show just maybe 5 to 10 minutes of Boston Bruins hockey players beating the shit out of Montreal Canadiens. So everyone's getting all riled up, home crowd, right? Then that goes off, and then they play that entire song. And at the end, they drop this big Irish flag, and they're standing there, and they like cut into, I think, for Boston, right? So the whole thing was just perfectly loaded to get everybody out of their minds. And it's so cool, and it's just cool to see the generations of tradition connected there.
yeah.
Chieftains to Pogues to Dropkick Murphys. Yeah, they're playing. Of course, they're playing like next week. I don't know if it's worth a shot or not to go down there and see them. This song is awesome.
Yeah, this
song
song's amazing.
Wins the day.
Mm-hmm. It really does. Oh God, her vocal is just so haunting. Like it just makes the song. It's so good.
Those are four solid choices, I think, at least to get you started on a St. Patrick's Day playlist.
Or keep you going, depending on when this comes out.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some crazy, really good playlists that have been compiled in Spotify and Apple Music and things like that of essential St. Patrick's Day songs. And I know we play those all throughout the year. I mean, especially you get kind of deep into the winter and you're like, man, I need something to kind of pick me up. That's always a go-to for me. So
You're getting picked up by the Irish lament.
well, I mean, maybe those aren't the songs that always kind of pick you up, but they're definitely the songs that, for me, I mean, songs like your Chieftains pick, I mean, those are songs that just warm your heart. So,
And the whiskey helps.
In the jar.
It does help a lot. It does.
Only if it's whiskey in a jar. And a whiskey in a jar. All right. Well, I'm going to go eat some Lucky Charms now.
I've been a wild rover for many's the year.
Yeah, this is a good place to call it a day.
I spent all me money on whiskey and beer.
Frosted Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious.
You guys are terrible.
All right.
Now
Now
we're-
we've lost
now
our
we're-
Irish contingent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We were walking the line the whole damn time, and now it's gone.
Yeah. Well, until next time.
Bye.